Hello, spooky bats and ghouls. Welcome back to Fright Shift Stories. For tonight, I've decided to dive into a few urban myths. Hopefully, a few of these you have not heard before. So let's get started. The first one I'm going to introduce is a Japanese yokai that goes by the name of Harionago. This is said to be an extremely beautiful woman with long dark hair. At the end of her hair are thorn-like barbs. She's said to be seen walking around the island of Shikoku at night looking for young single men. She makes contact with these men by winking or smiling or laughing, and if they engage her in any sort of way, she attacks them. She attacks with her hair and hooks it into their flesh and rips them apart. There's no way to escape this ensnarement. No matter how strong you think you are or how strong you actually are, you cannot break free. Now, they do say you can run away before you get trapped, but you have to be extremely fast. You have to find somewhere safe. It has to have very sturdy doors or walls, and you have to stay in there until sunrise. She will attack all night and wait for you. Then when the sunrise hits, she dissipates. This next story comes from Alabama. Apparently, there's a cemetery called Maple Hill, and adjacent to that cemetery is a playground. The idea was that parents could leave their kids there while they went and mourned their loved ones. According to legend, since the first grave was dug in 1822, people have witnessed strange things at night, such as little orbs of light sliding down the slides, and swinging with no one in them. They've also heard children giggling at night. People believe that a lot of these spirits belong to children that were murdered in the 60s, because a lot of bodies were found in that area. This playground is also referred to as Dead Children's Playground. Supposedly, no harmful incidents have been recorded, and hopefully it stays that way. This next story is from Venezuela. Supposedly in the early 1900s, there lived a young boy who stayed with his mother and father. He was extremely spoiled and got everything he wanted. One day he demanded deer meat for dinner, and when his father returned home empty-handed from hunting, he killed his father. He cut out his heart and his liver and placed it on the table for his mother to cook. While they were having dinner, his mother soon discovered that this was her husband they had been eating. Furious and disgusted, she cursed her son for all eternity. She then called upon his grandfather to punish her son. The grandfather tied him to a tree and whipped him. After he was done, he rubbed lemon juice and hot peppers into the wounds. He then unleashed a vicious hound onto his grandson. Legend says that his mother's curse turned him into a ghost. He was forced to wander the plains carrying a sack of bones on his back, all the while the hound continues to chase him. Some say it's his victim's bones he carries, and others say it's his father's bones. He's extremely tall and very skinny. He is known as El Silbón, or the Whistler, because he whistles to the tune of Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do before capturing his victims. The following story is from Korea. It is called The Elevator Killer or The Elevator Murderer. The story is about 19-year-old Haruko. She lived on the 14th floor of her apartment building. As she was getting into the elevator and the doors began to close, a hand stopped them and a very handsome man entered. He stood very close to Haruko, but she was too distracted by his beauty to see the issue. He asked her if she lived on the 14th floor, and she responded, yes. He then selected the button for the 13th floor. As the elevator stopped on the 13th floor, he looked at her and laughed with a knife in his hand while saying, I'll see you upstairs. She frantically tried to press any button she could, but there was no use. The elevator went up to the 14th floor and she was murdered by the man. A lot of people believe this story to be true, and some also say this is the reason elevators have a stop button now. This final story is a legend told throughout Japan and Korea. Since the 1970s, some people have told the story about how they were walking down the road at night and heard someone talking, but as soon as they turned, they wouldn't see anyone. After a while of still hearing the voice while they were walking, eventually they would see a dog. This dog had a human face. It was believed that a person who lived a sinful life would be reborn as half dog and half human. Hence, the legend of the human-faced dog was born.